Hi, this is Brent Holtman, and today I have Mark Sunderland, who's the president of Sunderland Group. Mark, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So we are,
Well,
as Brent said, I own an accounting firm here in Boulder, Colorado, and we specialize in helping small businesses. I almost don't even like to say I'm an accounting firm because the stereotypes go right to they do tax returns, and we do. But the core of our business is really consulting and helping small businesses either get off the ground or stay off the ground and grow. And how we do that is by providing a lot of the core base services a lot of businesses need, but then using those services to leverage the consulting side and the advising side, again, to help these businesses make sure they can flourish and make the right choices as they go through the growth phase of their businesses. Uh, Specifically, this time of year, we do a lot of bookkeeping and accounting for our business clients. So now that we're rolling up on year end, there's a lot of what I call year end tasks that are pretty critical for most business owners to make sure they accomplish that may not be on the radar because hopefully they're focused on growing their business. Obviously, 2020 and all the COVID impacts uh, making that even more pressing for a lot of business owners just to find out how they're going to make payroll next time around and budget for next year, even though there's a lot of unknowns going into that year. So we try to keep them focused on some of the things that the compliance issues that to keep them out of trouble, as well as helping advise them and help them build for that future. So specifically right now, we're going through all of our clients and what we call a 1099 audit. Most people know, most business owners know, at least in the back of their mind, that there's a requirement to send out certain tax forms, specifically 1099s, to certain contractors or others that they do business with. So we're trying to gather all that information before the end of the year to make sure they're in compliance there. We deal with a lot of business owners that they'll have some mixed use expenses, as we like to call them. There's some personal use to those as well as some business part of that as well. So we just want to make sure that they're compiling all that data, making sure they're getting credit for it on the business in the form of some kind of a year-end reimbursement type of thing. And then we're also doing some tax strategizing and tax planning now that we are close to year end so that we can at least help minimize tax impacts as well as eliminate any surprises when April 15th rolls around. So, specifically this year, it's been an interesting year for a lot of us. Most of us can't wait to put it in the rearview mirror. One thing we have seen quite a bit is for various reasons, but most directly somewhat related to the COVID impact is a lot of new startups. So either someone's gotten laid off from a business or, businesses have downsized or just unfortunately, many businesses, depending on the industry, have chosen or not chosen necessarily, but had to fold. So we've seen a lot of people reinventing themselves and starting up and hanging their own shingle out to start up their own business. So, and that's where we really like to come in there, especially at the beginning of a startup, to make sure they get things set up the right way to start, rather than 2 or 3 years down the road, and then we've got a lot of cleanup to do. So we've been dealing with a lot of those situations where people have set up their own businesses and are getting started and looking to the future and looking to us for guidance there.
great. Yeah. So I liked because you really gave a kind of a checklist, right? So if somebody has more of a just do your taxes kind of an accounting firm, they really need to be for themselves making sure that 1099 stuff is looked at, that expense stuff is looked at, uh, getting ready for April with this year's taxes, and then really doing some more strategy and tactics to set themselves up moving through this tax year and looking towards having things put together in the right way for 2021, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, again, the core services that we offer, which is what a lot of accounting firms do, which is the tax prep, the bookkeeping, and then we do payroll services through a payroll vault entity. Those are all core services a lot of accounting firms offer, and we do those services, and those are kind of our core offerings. But the reason we like to do those is so that it puts us in a unique position to really help on the advising and the consulting side, right? To make sure they're doing things right, make sure they're using the data that comes from the bookkeeping and the accounting, the financial statements, and making use of that data to help them position themselves best for the future.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Mark, I appreciated the conversation we were having right before we started this podcast about the importance of really not just numbers, but thinking about your culture and how all the things that are going on right now may have really pretty significant impacts as we move into next year. So it's not just about how do I build good, solid numbers, but how am I going to create a really strong culture and sustain a company, right?
Absolutely, and obviously, culture has been extremely important and at the heart of our firm
Right.
for years, and I think that's helped lead to some of our successes. Is that we've identified and built the culture a lot with your help as well. COVID's had an interesting twist to that because now that so many firms and companies are allowing, either forced to or not, their employees to work from home. I know there's a lot of conversation that like this is going to be the new way, and I think we talked about earlier is I don't necessarily agree because I think what's important is yeah, you can have a great business model, but if you lose your culture or don't have a culture, I don't know if that's sustainable, no matter what you're selling or offering. So I think that's going to be critical going forward, even if firms do choose to work in a more remote environment. I think it's going to make defining and building culture with a remote workforce even more important than it was when people are all in the same under the same roof. So I think if businesses, if that's they're going to be their way they go forward, or even a mixture of that, where they're going to allow people to work from home more frequently than they had in the past, I think building that strong culture is going to be more important than ever.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And that's, of course, always been my focus. And that specific nuance of that kind of mixed team, remote reporting, distributed teams, all of that. You know, there are ways to make it work, but you made the point without really being intentional about it, without really having a plan, just like waiting until March and saying, "Oh shoot, we got to get ready for tax time," right?
Yeah, nobody does
Um,
that.
and all right. Well, thank you, Mark. I really appreciate your time today. If people have more of just a transaction sort of a relationship and they'd like to explore working with Sunderland, what would be the best way for people to reach out and to see if maybe that's a good fit for their business?
Yeah, a couple of ways. They can easily visit our website. We've got a lot of information on what we do and why we do it, probably more importantly, on our website, which is sunderlandcpa.com. Or you can simply just email me at M-A-R-K, at sunderlandcpa.com. And we can answer any
Outstanding.
questions you have.
Yeah, and anybody who's curious, I would really encourage that they talk to you because of the way you run the business, the way your team engages, and just the outcomes that they can enjoy from working with a powerful organization with a good culture. So again,
Well, I
thanks for
appreciate
joining
that,
us.
Brent. Appreciate that.